Good evening. It's 8 o'clock. The top headlines tonight. The Home Minister, the Army Chief, the Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor and the IB Chiefs meet in Delhi. Kashmir's series of targeted killings is the main agenda. Some of the decisions taken apparently include moving Kashmiri Pandits to safer locations but not out of the Kashmir Valley. Also, information that the targeted killings were planned from across the border. A teen girl gang raped in a Mercedes in Hyderabad's Jubilee Hills. The girl took a lift from a boy at a pub. Her nightmare began then. VIP sons are part of the group of the boys who assault the girl. Protest of the shocking gang rape in Jubilee Hills by the BJP. The centre warns of a rise in COVID cases in 5 states. The states are Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Kerala. Testing, monitoring and tracking must improve, says the centre. Our lead story tonight, a series of meetings in Delhi chaired by the Home Minister, including the Army Chief, the National Security Advisor, the IB Chief and the Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor. Neeta Sharma joins us for more on these series of crucial meetings coming after a series of targeted killings in the Kashmir Valley, including Kashmiri Pandits and police officers, police constables and even children being targeted. Neeta, what are the details?
Sonia, it was a day full of meetings, in fact 3 rounds of meetings. The first initial round was attended by the intelligence heads, both the Director Intelligence Bureau Mr. Arvind Kumar and Secretary RNW Samant Goel, the National Security Advisor and also the Lieutenant Governor. In that meeting, you know, the dangers internally and externally, because India believes that whatever is being, the levels of violence which are increasing in Kashmir are being perpetrated from across the border. And another point which was discussed, that Taliban, whether it's operational in Valley or no. So a presentation was made to the Union Home Minister in which all these intelligence heads categorically denied that Taliban is obviously not operating in Kashmir Valley. This we have to see in regard with India, has started its engagement with Taliban. And also what is happening in Pakistan. So the external chief was there. He gave a detailed presentation. As far as the internal dynamics are concerned, the second meeting was of Amarnath Yatra, the security concerning Yatra. Earlier we used to see that, the RFID, that radio frequency identification tags were given to only vehicles which were ferrying Yatris. But this time, for the security reasons, each Yatri who is going to go for Amarnath Yatra would be provided with an RFID by the shrine board. In fact, the Lieutenant Governor briefed the Home Minister regarding that. And as far as the third meeting was concerned, it was all about, preparedness, the roads, the telecommunications and all kind of techniques which are going to be very helpful. The drone technology which is also going to be very helpful when the Yatra is going to go on. The Yatra is the longest Yatra. It would start on June 30th and will go on till August 11th. The challenges are humongous. Officials who, participated in the meeting, when I spoke to them, they say that, the kind of intelligence inputs that they are generating, it's humongous. It's six times more than what was being generated last year. In fact, TRF has categorically said that they will not allow the Yatra to take place. So these kind of all developments were discussed with the Union Home Minister by all these stakeholders operating in the valley. Sonia?
Right. So, Neeta, you make that point of worry in Delhi, increased intelligence over plans on the Amarnath Yatra. And also, as we saw those faces of those innocent victims who've been killed so brutally, leaving families behind, leaving heartbreak behind and panic, as Kashmiri Pandit government employees are appealing to the Prime Minister and the Home Minister that they want to be transferred out of Kashmir. You are saying that they're going to be moved to safer locations, but not out of the Kashmir Valley. Let's listen to what they're saying.
हम आदरणीय एलजी साहब और यूटी एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन से ये गुजारिश करते हैं कि हम कश्मीरी पंडितों की जान बचाई जाए, हमें यहाँ से जम्मू जाने दिया जाए। हमें सरकार ने यहाँ पर होस्टेजेस बनाया है, हमें घर से बाहर नहीं निकलने दिया जा रहा है।
1990 हमारे को 1990 में माइग्रेट किया गया था कश्मीर से जम्मू के लिए। जब हालात बहुत ख़राब हो चुके थे, हमारे पेरेंट्स ने सब कुछ छोड़ छाड़ के अपनी जानों के लिए हम लोग भागे थे अब जम्मू के लिए। और वही हालात आज दोबारा बन गए हैं कि हमें अपनी जान बचा के कश्मीर से जम्मू की तरफ वापस पलायन करना पड़ रहा है। ये बिल्कुल वेल प्लान्ड किलिंग्स हैं, ये टारगेट किलिंग्स हैं माइनॉरिटीज को लेके, चाहे वो सरदार हैं, चाहे वो हिंदू हैं, चाहे वो SC ST हैं, माइनॉरिटी हिंदूज जो भी कश्मीर में हैं, उनका जो टारगेट किलिंग हो रहा है वहाँ।
हालात बिल्कुल फेवरेबल नहीं है माइनॉरिटीज के रिगार्डिंग। आप देख रहे हो क्या हालात अभी चल रहे हैं। काफ़ी ज़्यादा कैंप जो हैं मतलब पंडित कम्युनिटी के, उनको तो मतलब पुलिस ने काफ़ी मतलब बाहर से सील ही कर दिया हुआ है, आपने देखा होगा।
तो लास्ट टाइम जब राहुल भट्ट जी पे अटैक किया गया था और वो ऑफिस में बैठे हुए थे, तो सिचुएशन वाज वेरी क्लियर दैट वी वर फीलिंग हाईली अनसेफ इन दैट सिचुएशन। तो हमें उस दिन सर वहाँ से निकलना पड़ा।
सर बिल्कुल डर है वहाँ, मतलब अपनी परछाई पे भी भरोसा नहीं है, जो कि एलजी साहब ने खुद भी शेखपुरा में ये बाइट दी थी कि यहाँ अपनी परछाई पे भी भरोसा नहीं। वैसे ही अगर हम बाहर भी निकलते हैं तो कोई भरोसा नहीं रहता, दिमाग में ऐसा चलता है कि कोई भी आ रहा है, कोई भी जा रहा है तो ये शूट कर देगा। वहाँ ऐसी हालात है।
पहले जब रजनी बाला की जब हमें सारी डिटेल्स पता चली, उसके बाद शाम को एक पिक्चर के साथ में एक हमारे पास एक नोटिस आता है विशाल नाम के लड़के का कि ही इज़ द नेक्स्ट वन, जिसकी पिक्चर के ऊपर नेक्स्ट वन लिखा हुआ था। आफ्टर दैट हमारी फैमिलीज जो थी वो काफ़ी घबरा गई कि अब ये जो है 90s का दोबारा से दौर शुरू हो गया, अब हमें यहाँ से जाना चाहिए।
An uneasy calm at the Sheikhpura migrant camp in Budgam. In the past 24 hours, many families have left. Some estimates say that 500 people have reached Jammu in the past 2 to 3 days.
I'm outside Sheikhpura migrant camp in Budgam, which was the site of major Pandit protests for the last 3 weeks. But since yesterday, protests have been called off. Kashmiri Pandits say that there is no point now to protest. It's time to pack bags and move out and shift to Jammu. That's what they exactly did since yesterday.
On Thursday, hours after bank manager Vijay Kumar was shot inside a bank, terrorists shot dead a migrant worker from Bihar at Chadura in Budgam. The fresh attacks caused panic. Kashmiri Pandits say that of around 4,000 migrant Pandits who had returned since 2010 as part of the Prime Minister's special employment package, many have started migrating again. At Mattan in Anantnag, most of the Pandit employees have moved out even after the police tried to stop them on Thursday.
जितनी भी क्वार्टर्स में हमारे पास फैमिली रहती थी, लगभग उनमें 80 to 90% चले गए। अब 10-12 फैमिली टोटल रह गई होगी यहाँ पर। और रेंटेड एम्प्लॉय जो 250 लोग बाहर रहते थे, तो लगभग तो वो 95% चले गए होंगे, और जो बचे हैं वो भी चले जाएंगे 1-2 दिन में वो भी।
Those who have already reached Jammu say it reminds them of 1990.
आदरणीय मोदी जी, अमित शाह जी, LG मनोज सिन्हा जी, आपसे हमारी एक ही रिक्वेस्ट है, प्लीज़ हमारी जान बख्श दीजिए, हमारी जानें बचा लीजिए प्लीज़। हम और लाशों को गिरता हुआ नहीं देख सकते, हम थक चुके हैं। हमारे बच्चे, हमारी फैमिली इस टाइम मेंटल ट्रॉमा से गुजर रही है।
In Delhi, the Home Minister met the Army Chief, the National Security Advisor, the IB Director, the JNK LG and the DCP, and the RAW Secretary. One of the biggest concerns is the Amarnath Yatra that is due to start on the 30th of June. With Nazir Masoodi in Jammu and Kashmir, Priyanshi Sharma for NDTV.
Well, we'll move to the other big headline coming out of Hyderabad, and this is really a shocking story. It's outraged parents, people, everyone across India, because this is of a 17-year-old girl who took a lift from a boy, a teenage boy she met at a pub in Jubilee Hills in Hyderabad, and was then gang raped by the boy and his friends in their high-end car, the Mercedes. These boys apparently belong to politically influential families. One of the boys who was apparently in the car was an MLA's son. He got out before the crime, the police say, but also reports of the involvement of the grandson of a Telangana minister. Uma has the latest details on this. Uma, we're seeing protests by the BJP over the political involvement, the fact that these boys are from influential families, and the horror of this crime of a young girl. The CCTV footage showed her going out. Normally it's daylight. She hugs her friend. She's just taking a lift home, and then the nightmare begins. What do we know of this case so far? This absolutely shocking case.
Hyderabad very often spoken of as a very safe city, and we are talking about daylight even before night could fall, and we are talking about 5:30 in the evening when this young girl, in fact just about 17 years old, comes out of this pub, and the CCTV footage of course showing her interacting with a group of boys with who she is said to have taken a lift because we are being told that she was told that she will be dropped home by the boys. They went to a coffee shop subsequently, and then the vehicle was parked in an area, and 5 of the boys, they took turns to sexually assault the girl inside this high-end car is what we understand. Yes, there are politically influential families to which these boys belong, and perhaps that's one reason why this case has become very high profile, other than the fact that the case itself is very, very shocking that it should happen in such a crowded area. In fact, the pub where the party had happened to which the girl had gone is hardly about 5 minutes from here, and the coffee shop too, and even the area where the car was chopped and the assault took place is not very far off from here. The reason there is such a huge deployment outside the Jubilee Hills police station, where in fact the case was registered of gang rape, is because the BJP has come out in big numbers to protest, saying that arrest must be carried out at the earliest. The allegation was about the involvement of the son of an MLA, which the DCP has told me that he had gotten off the car, and therefore they believe that he may not have been involved. The girl per se knew only one of the boys who was with her in the car, and she has not been able to identify the others, even though there has been CCTV footage that the police have seized from inside the pub as well as outside on the roads. Hyderabad does happen to be one of those cities with the maximum number of CCTV footage. So all that being corroborated right now inside, just a short while ago, the Additional Commissioner Law and Order DS Chauhan, who is in fact holding the Commissioner's post right now with the Commissioner being on leave, he told me that not all may have been minors, and that even though they may be from influential families, justice will be done and that the arrest will be carried out. Of course, because they are the victim as well as the accused in this case are minors, therefore the police dealing with it with a lot of sensitivity and care. Back to you, Sonia.
Making, Uma, really that, I mean, that's all these boys in influential families, obviously well off. It's a Mercedes car, an Audi car, which are involved there. And again, it has happened in daylight. Again, it's shocking coming with recent news of Hyderabad. We've seen this horrific where a young woman in a scooter was gang raped and brutally murdered, and the various issues coming up there of women's safety. Let's just look at what actually are the details we know of this story.
These visuals show no sign of the horror lying ahead. A young girl hugging a girlfriend to say goodbye early evening, and then leaving the pub with a young teenage boy she had met at the pub, giving her a lift home. The youngsters had been to an early evening party in a pub in Hyderabad's well-known Jubilee Hills. The nightmare unfolded as they left. They were joined with 5 other boys. They first went to a pastry shop, after which the car was parked in the upmarket Jubilee Hills area, where the boys took turns to rape the 17-year-old while the others stood guard. All of them belonged to locally influential families, including an MLA's son. The MLA's son got out of the car before the crime, say police. What then turned these teenage boys into monsters? And were they drunk? Police are investigating, and the pub manager says no alcohol was served inside the pub to them in the day.
कुछ भी नहीं हो पाता अंदर, क्योंकि सिक्योरिटी रहता ना, वो लोग कुछ भी नहीं कर पाते. अगर बाहर तक हमारा गेट तक सिक्योरिटी रहेगा. ये जो हुआ अभी इंसिडेंट, वो लोग कार में बिठाने के बाद ही हुआ था. See, we have checked our alcohol who is entering into the premises. We have tested our alcohol this thing, and later on cigarettes also we did not allow any single cigarette into that party, sir. Sir, this has been booked by a person called as Ishan, and he has guaranteed as 150 people. Later on 30 people are added.
One of these accused happens to be an MLA son of MIM party, and another seems to be a very important leader of TRS party, the name till now unknown, and his son, and a Waqf board chairman's son.
Shocking that such an incident should take place in an upmarket area of Hyderabad that is usually spoken of as safe for women. That too during the evening hours between 5:30 and 7:30. The police say the accused do belong to politically influential families and are minors, but action will be taken according to law. In Hyderabad, with camera person Nagaraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
Absolutely shocking case, and what a trauma for this young girl who was just taking a lift home. Moving to other news, well, India has reported over 4,000 cases in the last 24 hours and 10 COVID deaths. That's an increase of 1,668 cases from the 24 hours before that. This comes as the centre has written to 5 states saying that there has been an alarming rise. They include Kerala, Maharashtra, Delhi also is amongst the top 5, Karnataka and Haryana. The centre's letter has pointed to the rise of cases in the 5 states of Telangana, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala, and said that there must be improved monitoring, tracking and testing. Letter there, but let's just move to what's the other big political news today. Well, the Prime Minister in Lucknow, where he addressed the Uttar Pradesh Investment Summit and talked about how UP is now a focus for investments. He also visited the President's village in Kanpur.
A month before a new president is elected, Prime Minister Modi and President Ramnath Kovind at the President's village in UP's Kanpur Dehat, where they also visited a famous temple. In a speech at the village, the Prime Minister said that he wanted a strong opposition in the country.
ये परिवारवादी मेरे खिलाफ अब एकजुट हो रहे हैं। मेरी किसी राजनीतिक दल से या किसी व्यक्ति से कोई व्यक्तिगत नाराजगी नहीं है कि परिवारवाद के शिकंजे में फंसी पार्टियां खुद को इस बीमारी से मुक्त करें, खुद अपना इलाज करें, तभी भारत का लोकतंत्र मजबूत होगा।
Hours earlier, a win-win situation was the Prime Minister's speech at this big investor summit in Lucknow, where foundation stones were laid for what the UP government says are projects worth 80,000 crore rupees.
हम नीति से भी विकास के साथ हैं, निर्णयों से भी विकास के साथ हैं, नियत से भी विकास के साथ हैं और स्वभाव से भी विकास के साथ है।
The opposition said the events and promises of investment were too good to be true.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी जो वन नेशन वन उद्योगपति को लेकर जो आगे बढ़ रही है, तो सवाल ये है कि 2.2 लाख करोड़ का जो कर्जा, वो जो विशिष्ट उद्योगपति हैं, वो तो खुद डूबे हुए हैं, तो वो हमारे उत्तर प्रदेश को कैसे निवेश करेंगे?
With camera person Rajesh Gupta, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Meanwhile, Indian industrialists Mukesh Ambani and Gautam Adani are topping the richest Asians in the Bloomberg billionaires list. Mukesh Ambani has regained the top spot. Priyanshi has the details.
Mukesh Ambani is back to being the richest man in Asia as per Bloomberg's Billionaires Index. Mukesh Ambani, the chairman and MD of Reliance Industries, as we know, has overtaken Gautam Adani. Remember, Adani had taken over Ambani earlier in February, but Ambani has now regained his spot. Now, why has this happened now? Ambani's net worth has gone up due to a recent rally of Reliance shares. In fact, Reliance share is now very close to its record high level of 2,855 rupees that it touched back in April. Reliance Industries shares closed at 2,778 rupees today, gaining almost 2% today and almost 6% just this week. The shares are in fact up by 27% in the last 1 year. And after this rally, Mukesh Ambani is the 8th richest man globally, followed by the chairperson of Adani Group, Gautam Adani, who is at the 9th spot. Tesla chief Elon Musk tops the list and Amazon chief Jeff Bezos is at the second spot. Now, how rich are these billionaires? How large is their wealth? Mukesh Ambani is the richest Asian with a $99.7 billion net worth, while Gautam Adani's net worth is valued at $98.7 billion by Bloomberg Billionaires Index.
And a seesaw day at the markets, but the Sensex finally closing, losing 48 points. The Nifty down 43 points. Auto, metal and bank stocks dragged the most. Also, LIC shares ended at 800 rupees, at 16% down from the issue price. Also, their lowest level since the listing, after losing 0.6% of their value in today's trading session. Well, in other news, India had a strong response today to a U.S. religious freedom report released by the U.S. Secretary of State, saying that it's vote bank politics in international relations. India slammed the U.S. report, saying there were ill-informed comments by senior U.S. officials, and this shows vote bank politics in international relations, saying the assessment is based on motivated inputs and biased views. They also said that India values religious freedom and human rights, and that India in its statement also highlighted issues of concern in the United States during discussions. The 2021 U.S. Religious Freedom Report released by the U.S. Secretary of State has alleged attacks in India on minorities throughout the year. But meanwhile, the Indian Foreign Minister gave a strong defense of India's stand on the Russian invasion of Ukraine, saying that we are on the ground but not on the fence.
I don't think we're sitting on the fence. Just because I don't agree with you doesn't make me sitting on the fence. It means I'm sitting on my ground. And my ground is actually, what are the big challenges of the world?